Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Kinsella and I am back again with another blockchain update video. So today I'm going to be doing another update video on my current blockchain simulation project. So as you can currently tell, again, I'm doing this demonstration on my phone. I can do it on my laptop if needs be, but I think I've kind of designed it in such a way that it is better on phone. It does work on laptops and iPads and TVs and all the sorts, but I think I've kind of designed it and it looks really good on phones. So I'll kind of just run through each section. So as you can tell, the landing page has been changed. It's kind of just a bit of a splur of what the project has at the moment. So there's block creation, which I'll show you what I've updated in that over the last little while. There's wallet creation. Not much has changed on that, but I'll get into the nitty gritty of what I've changed. And the decentralized autonomous organization that's inspired by Nouns DAO that I showed in one of my last videos. So if you haven't seen that, feel free to go back and have a watch. The DAO, my decentralized autonomous organization, DAO for short, has been updated significantly, which again I will show you. So I just tell you a little bit about the features for the DAO, and to kind of just jump straight in. But before we get into it, I want to outline that the project is getting very close to being potentially done, and it's not deployed yet, so you guys, real users, can't use the project, but it's getting pretty damn close, to be quite honest. It's getting very close to the deployment stage. So what we'll do is we'll click on this hamburger menu, and as you can see, there's only 3 sections now. Because last time there was a home thing, but I just removed that because we're already on the home page. That could be updated again, but I don't think it's needed. And then I had a contact. It's in the, if you haven't seen that, that's in the last video. I just removed that because you can contact me on my GitHub or my LinkedIn, which are all they'll be linked in this video in the description or something. So we'll start off with the blocks. So I'll click into blocks. So as you can tell, the blocks component, I say component because the whole front end is made and constructed with React, and I've learned an extreme amount about React. So the blocks component has changed a lot. So for instance, I have a little paragraph explaining what this page consists of, and what you can firstly tell is I've designed it now such that the user can type in how many blocks they want to make. If you have watched the last video, in the last video this was not here. A lot of this actually wasn't here. But in the last video on my back end, I just had like a constant value, and that would say the constant value of n was say 5. Then whenever I ran my backend servers, those give me 1 second. Apologies for that. So on the back end, if I had 5 blocks, and when I ran my backend servers, 5 blocks would just automatically be made. But now I've redesigned it such that this block that we see, the first block, this is the Genesis block, which is the first block in the blockchain. But the user then determines, the backend doesn't determine it. I actually don't determine it myself. The user themselves that uses the application just says, okay, I want to make 500 blocks. So we can type in 500 blocks and see that work. But for argument's sake, I will do a little demonstration of it working, but I won't use a massive number. So firstly, I'll click on show data. So we can see the data about this block. Excuse me, so some data about it. And in the last video, the block hash, if you recall or have watched those videos, the block hash kind of went off screen on phones, but I have now updated it such that the block hash, if it kind of goes off the screen, I just wrap it onto a new line, so it's much tidier. So that's that, and then I'm going to say how many blocks do I want to make, and what I will actually show you is if I try to say I want to make 0 blocks, I do make blocks, we get told that we can't do that. So, and I'll try make a negative block, so say I want to make -1 blocks, we'll do make block. I get told you need to enter a positive number, negative values aren't allowed. So with all these input boxes that I have, that I've added into the project, there are edge cases and scenarios for that, and I've accounted for all of those. So now I'm going to say I'm going to make, we'll say 30 blocks. I'll click on make blocks. So as we can see, we're getting told we're mining blocks and the button has been disabled. And what now has happened is that value of 30 has been sent to from the front end to the back end, and that value of 30 is being mined on my back end for my blocks. And once those blocks are made, they'll be populated on the front end. So as we can see, on my back end, it told me 7 blocks were made. So as we can see, we now have, this is the genesis block, which points to the next block. And this block has data from the past block. So for example, I've shown this already, but this is an update. So say the block hash of the genesis block is this, the genesis block, the very first block. And if we look at the next block, so block 2, and we look at the previous hash, if we look at the last 4 characters, say 4A5C, and we look at the next block, we have 4A5C. And it's kind of like a massive domino effect, and they all point to the next one. So if we do the next one, so the second block has a block hash of D6B3, and if we go to the next block, which is block 3, we go to the previous hash, she has D6B3. And this keeps going for however many blocks that we have. So I'll just scroll to the bottom. And I believe we should be at the bottom. So now, because we mined 7 blocks, plus the first block being the genesis, means we have 8 blocks in the blockchain. And the process keeps going. So you can say, I'll mine another 5 blocks. So let's say, for argument's sake, we didn't want to mine any more blocks. That's fine. But let's say I want to mine, we'll do 10 more blocks. So I'll do mine blocks. That's sent to the backend processes, and whatever blocks found a valid proof of work field will be populated on my front end. And as you can see, the last block before we mined those 10 blocks, block 8 didn't have an arrow because he was the last block in the blockchain. And obviously, if he's the last block, he doesn't point to anything. But because we mined more blocks, it means that he's not the last block in the blockchain. So there's another block, so he will point to that next block, which is block 9. And actually, we out of the 10 blocks, only 1 block was mined, and then he has no arrow because he's the last block in the blockchain. So that's kind of how my blockchain, or the blocks kind of part of the project works. And then we can obviously click on hide data to hide the data, but we will see the block and the block reward and the transaction fees and the block subsidy for that particular block. And we can obviously toggle between the two, between the show data and hide data. And then I've also added a little tiny small feature to go back. So I'll click on go back, which just brings us back to here. And you might be wondering, well, what happens now? Do I need to remine will the Genesis block be remined? And will I have to mine those blocks again? Well, I can simply show you. We can go click the hamburger menu, go back into blocks, and the blockchain has stayed. All of our blocks have stayed. And we can mine more blocks or whatever. The only scenario this wouldn't show is if I killed my backend servers. Then nothing would show. Well, all the blocks and these buttons will show, but these blocks would not show in particular. So that's a pretty major update, really, in comparison to the last video. So I'll click on go back, and we're back at the home page. So now I'll go into the wallet aspect of the project. Now, I'm not going to actually show you how the wallet works, because I did a good overview and a wallet creation process in the last video. So if you haven't seen that, feel free to go back and watch it. Because the main reason why I'm not going to do it is because not much has changed in here. Now, I will go through and kind of explain how it works. But I'm not really going to make a wallet because it's already been done and not much has been updated. So simply, the last time here, I had a kind of on the front end page here saying that you could buy, sell, and swap your kind of digital assets in your wallet and whatnot. And I mentioned in the last video that is entirely true, but my wallet doesn't support that. And I was having a little bit of a think about it, and I don't know if I'm going to do that for the project. So I pretty much just updated this component to render different text. So that's kind of all that changed here, and I have added some back buttons. So what I'll do is I'm not going to import a wallet or create a wallet, but I'll go through the process of what happens. So I'll click on import a wallet. And once you have created your wallet, you will have your seed. Again, we'll do that in 1 second. You'll have your seed, and then you'll type in your seed, and then you can be brought into your wallet. So if I do import wallet, it's going to say that there are fields missing, fill them in, but I'm not going to do that in this video because I've already done that in the previous video. So feel free to have a watch that video. So I'll just click on go back, which brings me back here. And if we click on go back again, this will bring us back to the main landing page of the project. So I'll come back in here, I'll do create a wallet. And all that changed in here is that on this page, I was saying that you could have buy, or your wallet could contain your NFTs and tokens. And that was not true at all. My wallet is for an achievement card, which we'll get to when we get to DAO. So this kind of, again, this component was just kind of changed with text. And we can obviously go back to the prior step, etc. So you kind of get the idea. So we'll do create a wallet. Then you will notice that if we go back, I'll just go back to step 1. When we do create a wallet, there used to be a password component where you would type in a password, and that would be your password for your wallet. But again, I had a little bit of thinking about it, I thought about it, and I don't know if I really want that in the project. So I left it out, I got rid of it. It could come back, but most likely won't. So that instead of us going from step 1 to making our password, we just skip that and we come into the next component. And subsequently, the steps have been changed. So this component didn't change at all. All that changed is the step, because we removed the password. And again, there's a back button, which is fairly straightforward. It will bring us to the previous page. I'll do next step, and then this hasn't changed. It just, the step has changed because we removed the password. We can go back to the last page. Then if I do view, I'll click on view, and give me 1 second. So when I'll go back actually, sorry, I was doing something on my laptop. I'll click on view, and then our seed is populated, and then again we can go back to the last step like I just did, and then we can say we have took a log on pen and paper. That's what I mentioned in the steps. And then you click on next step, and this is identical to what we saw in the import a wallet, but here you're creating your wallet. So my system effectively assumes that you've took a log, so you wrote these. We'll go back. So my system, when you go to step 5, the final step, it assumes that you've took a log of your seed value. So we'll do this, and then you would import your seed, and once so obviously we haven't filled in anything, so we're going to get a nice alert. So we'll click on OK, because I'm not going to do that because that was done in the previous video. But once you put in your seed value all correctly, you are brought into your wallet. So that's kind of the wallet part of the project. It changed a small bit, just some components, but nothing major. So I'm just going to go back, click in my buttons to go back to the very start. So we're now back at the very start, and to be honest, that the blocks and the wallet are pretty cool part of this project, but in my personal opinion, I think the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization part of the project, is incredibly cool. So let's get into that. So I'll click on DAO. So again, I'm doing a lot of referencing to the last videos, the last 2 videos that I did on my phone, and they're on my YouTube channel, so I would really encourage you to go watch those videos. They're very useful because the last 2 videos kind of are this video is a continuation of those last videos. So if you haven't watched the last videos, you'll kind of be confused on what's going on. So let's get into the DAO. So what has changed? Well, quite a few things actually. So I'll just scroll down and you can kind of tell for yourself if you've seen the last video. So I'll just go from the top down and explain what happens. So we can connect our wallet, which we could do in the previous video. So I'll do connect wallet, and we're told our wallet is successfully connected. We'll click on OK. So now from the last video we had a wallet address here that went off screen and a balance. But now I have something called an alias and a balance, and you don't actually see it on the front end, but on my back end servers for my wallet, for my DAO, there is a corresponding wallet address for this specific alias. So for the alias I was here first, separated by dashes, he has a wallet address, and we will see this in a moment. So that's the first thing. So that is that. Then very similarly to the block creation, we can determine how many wallets we want to make. So before, on my wallet backend, I'd kind of have it as a constant. So we could have a constant of 20 wallets or 5 wallets or 2 wallets or 1 wallet or whatnot. And we could, when I ran my backend servers, it would just make those wallets. Pretty much hard coded. So now I've updated my DAO section such that you can the user determines how many wallets that they want connected to the DAO. So for argument's sake and simplicity's sake, I'm just going to say I'm going to make 2 wallets. I'll click on create wallets, so we're told the wallets are being created. And before I get into the detail of this, there is error checking. So if I try to input a negative value of -1 or 0, like I did for the blocks, we get the same exact error messages. So you can't make you can't make 0 wallets, and you can't make -1 or -5 wallets. It has to be a positive value or more. So now I'll explain. It's pretty much the same syntax as the first wallet, So each of the N wallets has an alias, which is used for the bidding. So we'll see that in a moment. So they have an alias, which is just a random word that I pull from an API, and they all have a balance of 100 funds. Now these funds are completely valueless. They're just numbers on my backend of a constant number. So we have two wallets and the first wallet. So to simulate it, we have three wallets connected to this DAO. So I'm gonna then scroll down. This stuff is still here. Another thing I would like to outline is that I have added persistence. So before we get too far into this demonstration, I will do a refresh. So if we look at this wallet connected, I'm clicking it and it's connected. But if I refresh, I'll refresh the page. The first wallet I was here first with the balance stays. How I do this is in local storage. So the data is wrote to local storage, and if it's there, I just pull it when we refresh. But you will notice that when we make N wallets, that they do not persist, and that is mainly for the reason I've had a lot of problems and difficulties trying to implement that in my project. So for the sake of my sanity, I have decided not to implement that, but that could change at a later point in time. So again, I'll just type in two wallets. I'll click on create wallets. And again, I should probably explain that when we type in the number 2 or whatever number, that is sent to my wallet backend. My wallet backend will say, okay, we need to make two wallets, and then I process those wallets, and then they're sent to the React front end, and then my React front end simply renders it. So I just wanted to explain that because that in the last video I did not have persistence. So if I refreshed, this would completely be wiped, but I have now implemented persistence. And I'll scroll down. So when we fund the treasury, I have a bid history, revealing today's reward, the current bid. All of these things persist. So you will see that. But the only thing that does not persist is the N wallets. I don't know why, but it's quite a tricky process to save it to local storage. But anyway, we'll keep going. So we'll scroll down, and in the last video again, a lot of this is kind of similar, very similar. So the treasury is 0 because there is no funds. I have something called a bid history, which we'll see in a moment. Then there's a little bit of text, and then we can reveal today's reward. So again, in the last video, I outlined what a reward is and what an achievement card is. Again, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. So we'll click on reveal today's reward. So this is gas fees for life. So this is the achievement card that these N wallets, so I was here first, Nets, and Infatuating are going to bid for. And whoever effectively places the highest bid is going to win gas fees for life in their wallet. So what I'm gonna do now is, so how, you might be wondering, how the hell do we make a bid? Well, before you would just type in, I want to bid 50, and you wouldn't have an alias name. And this was fine for a singular wallet, for one wallet, but when I wanted to scale the DAO such that it can work for the first wallet and N other wallets, I was like, I need a way to determine how am I going to know which wallet is going to bid. So I implemented an alias. So what I effectively do is you type in your alias. So for argument's sake, we'll type in nets. So NETS. And then we have to bid more than one. So I'll get into that in 1 second. So nets is going to bid, say, he's going to bid 10 of his funds. So we'll do place bid. So the funds have been placed, or the bid has been placed successfully. So we'll click on OK. And then a few things have updated. So firstly, note that this hasn't changed, the first wallet, and Infatuating hasn't updated. But Nets has updated. He bidded 10 of his 100, so he has dropped to 90. And then if we look at the bid history, which actually still goes off screen, that is something that is still to be done. But if we look at the bid history, it says this wallet address bidded 10. And you might be wondering, well, how the hell did he bid 10? Because we don't know where this wallet address is after coming from. Give me 1 second. My laptop keeps sleeping for some reason. I don't want it to die because my servers will crash and then that will break this whole demo. So you might be wondering, well, Nets has an alias and a balance. Yes, but like I mentioned up here for I Was Here First, the first wallet and the N wallets that the user makes, they all have a unique wallet address behind the scenes that are not shown on the front end when the N wallets are made and when the first wallet is made and connected. But when we make the bid, so what happens is when we Nets bidded 10 of his 100, so his state has updated to 90. And Nets behind the scenes, his wallet address is this wallet address. This massive string of characters. And it says he bidded 10. And also what has happened is the treasury has now been funded with 10. And the treasury is just an accumulation of all the bids. And you'll see that in one moment. So then I'll scroll down, and what you can then tell is that, so there's a lot of information going on here. But what happens is we'll scroll down and we can see that the current bid has changed. So it said you had to bid more than 1 in this placeholder before. And the current bid is changed to 11. So because the current bid was 1 and you have to bid more than 1 for your bid to be determined valid and added to the bid history, the state has been updated to 11. So again, there's a good few edge cases in this project, and particularly the DAO. So now I'm going to illustrate one of the edge cases. There's a multitude and you can have a look at the source code. But let's do, actually I'll show you 2. So let's say Nets is going to bid again. So we'll type in Nets, and let's say he wanted to bid, so he has 90 funds, Nets has 90 funds, but let's say he wanted to try bid 100. So we'll do 100. Actually, we'll do 120. So I'll click on place bid, and we're told that your bid is higher than your available funds. Please try a smaller amount. So that's an obvious edge case. What if the alias tries to bid more than they have? So if I have 90 funds, can I bid 120? The answer is no, you can't. So then what we'll do is, that was one edge case. So if we try bid less than 11, so I'll bid, say, we'll bid 8. We'll try to bid 8. So I'll click on place bid, and we're told try increasing your bid of 8. It needs to be higher than 11. And another reason for this is another edge case. So there's a bunch of edge cases. You'd be very surprised by this project. There's a lot of edge cases. Again, if I try do 0, if I try bid 0, we're told you don't have enough funds. So, and we get told that alert, so different alerts. If I try bid a negative value, so say -3, we'll click on place bid. We're told you can't type in negative values. So then what we'll do is, 1 second now. So you obviously see some more buttons. So there's a go back button, which simply brings us back to the previous page. We've a reset page with which that button clears local storage. So all this data, so the current bid, the achievement card, which is gas fees for life, the bid history, the treasury, and the very first wallet, that is all wrote to local storage. So if I wanted to do a new demonstration of this, I'd clear local storage by clicking the reset page, and I can then refresh the page and kind of start all over again. So that, give me 1 second, I believe that's most of the DAO. And that brings us back, that resets it, place the bid, that, that's the current bid. Yeah, so that is mostly everything. What I will do is I'll do another bid. So I'll do I was here first. I was dash here first, and he's gonna bid, say he's gonna bid 100. So he's gonna bid all of his funds. He's gonna be a bit of a baller and bid all of his funds. So we'll click on place bid, and we're told the bid has been placed successfully. And again, I'm kind of going to repeat myself, but if we scroll up and we look at his alias, his balance has hit 0 because he had 100 funds, but he had 100 and he bid 100, so he obviously has no funds left. Give me 1 second, my laptop is after sleeping again. So he has no funds left, and obviously Nets and Infatuating has not updated because they did not type in their alias to bid. The treasury has been updated simply because the treasury's been updated and the bid history's been updated. And the current bid has been updated and the placeholder's been updated. So a lot of state has been updated. So why did the treasury update? Well, the treasury updated because we bidded 100. So the treasury contained 10, and when we add 100, it's 100 plus 10, which is 110. The bid history just adds 100, and you will notice it's a different wallet address. So again, we can't see the wallet address, but if we look, the wallet address is different. It's completely different to the above wallet address. So that is that. Then the current bid has changed. So the current bid was 11. The current bid was 11, and we bidded 100, and 100 plus 11 is 111. Yeah, 100 plus 11 is 111, I believe. So the current bid has changed, and that state variable is put into the placeholder. And the last thing that I want to kind of explain about the DAO is that if we now look, actually we will bid for infatuating, so the same thing will happen. So we'll just copy that and we'll put that in. Actually, infatuating can't bid, in fact. So this is not an edge case, this is not future, this is actually the DAO behaving exactly as it's designed. So I was here first, bidded 100. He bidded all of his funds. Nets bidded 10, infatuating didn't bid, right? But infatuating actually cannot win, and Nets cannot win because Nets which was the first guy that bidded 10 in the bid history. He was outbidded by I was here first because he bidded 100, Nets bidded 10, right? And because the current bid is 111, you have to bid more than 111. But if we look, infatuating definitely can't bid 111 because he only has 110, as we saw. Nets definitely can't because he only has 90, and I was here can't because he has no funds. So Nets and Infatuating have lost in actuality, and I Was Here First he has no funds, but he placed the highest bid, therefore updating the state, and nobody can bid 111 because they simply don't have the funds. So I Was Here First is determined the winner. Now, I have wrote some code for determining the winner, but it does work. It is a little bit buggy. So I won't demonstrate it because it is a little bit buggy and a little bit problematic, but it works, but it's not perfect. So I'll just have a little bit of I'll just clear this out because Infatuating cannot bid. Um, that, 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 that. And it says Irish time here because I'm based in Ireland. Yeah, so that's everything in the DAO, and if I were to refresh, everything will persist. Everything will persist, and I'll show you that. But keep in mind, Nets and Infatuating will go. So I'll just refresh, and we can see the funds stayed, the treasury stayed, the bid history stayed with these wallet addresses and the bids. Gas fees for life stayed, and the current bid stayed. The time left to bid has changed, but that's all fine. So the last thing I kind of want to outline is what the next possible features I'm going to do for my project. So that's kind of the last part of the demonstration. So I'll click on go back. So the last things I want to outline in this video are the next upcoming features for my project. So the next thing I'm going to work on starting tomorrow is the proposals and candidates. So pretty much in the DAO, people will be able to make a proposal, and they'll say, okay, for example, I want to lower the gas fees or the transaction fees, and I want to use 5 of the funds out of the treasury. So effectively, you make a proposal, people will vote for the proposal, so you can vote for it or you can vote against it. And if there's more votes for than against, some of the funds of the treasury, so out of the 110, will be taken out. So if, say, the proposal was to do a particular thing, they said they want to take 10 funds out of the treasury, and everybody wants to do so, 10 of the funds will come out of the treasury, be put into that proposal for that particular whatever is outlined in the description, and then the treasury would update to be 100, not 110. So that's the next upcoming feature, and then the feature after that I'm most certainly going to do, but not perfectly certain, is I'm going to be creating a dashboard. And the dashboard is primarily for me, just to see all the data and kind of the flow of my project. Because once the dashboard is done, I will do a little bit of styling to make the project a bit nicer, a bit more user friendly. And then it will be kind of getting it to a point, getting it out to real users, getting it out to you guys so you guys can use the project. And then from there, when you real people are using my project, I can see all the data kind of flowing in on the dashboard. So as you can see, everything is persisted. Just the only thing that didn't persist is the N wallets. And I'll actually show you while we're here. I'll do a negative number. So -1, we're told we can't do it. Just in case you think I'm lying, I'll do 0. I'll do create wallets, and we can't make 0 wallets. And if I said more than 2, so again, I'm not lying, I'll say I want to make 10 wallets. So the wallets have been created, it's hitting the back end is making them, and then it renders them, so they all get wallets. And they all have a unique wallet address behind the scenes, and what I just demonstrated in this video will work perfectly, all the edge cases, etc., for everything, for all of these wallets. It's just easier to demonstrate it with 1 or 2 wallets, or even 3 wallets like I did. So that is pretty much the project update. Thank you very much for watching, and have a lovely day, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.